Let's see, torches and pitchforks. So we should. Yes. This slide. You're live, we're good. We'd like to welcome all of you tonight, to those on live streaming and those here in attendance to the Pleasant View Planning Commission meeting for Thursday, May 7th, 2026. It is now 6 p.m. We'll go ahead and get started. We'd like to ask all of those that have joined us tonight in person to make sure they sign in so we have it for the record of who's in attendance. We'd like to ask Manya to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and then an opening prayer, reading, or expression of thought.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our dear, kind, and eternal Father in heaven, we come before thee at this time, grateful for the opportunity we have to meet, to make decisions on behalf of this city and community in which we live, and for the residents. We're thankful for the many blessings that we are afforded here for our safety and freedoms. We ask that thou will help us this evening, that we might be able to have our minds open to have understanding of what is being presented to us so that we might make the best decisions for the city, for the residents and the future residents. We pray that that will help those who are presenting, that they will have clarity of mind as well, and that we will be able to have a peaceful meeting this evening. We end this prayer with a plea on behalf of the state for water. Thou knowest that we are in a drought and that we all need to work together to conserve and to make the best use of the resources that we have in the state. We pray that thou bless us with these blessings, and we say these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. We have an agenda that's been set before us for this evening. All the commissioners have had a chance to review the agenda. Is there anyone on the panel that needs to make a declaration of conflicts of interest for tonight? Seeing no conflicts, we'll go on, move forward. First of all, we'd like to thank David for joining us as a new member of the commission, and I appreciate you joining us. And I think you'll enjoy the opportunity we get to serve our community and the learning experience that we all get. So it is definitely a learning experience up here, and everybody's opinion means a lot to me. Thank you for joining this group. To start with, we have minutes before us, reviewing consideration of planning commission meeting minutes prepared for the December 4th, 2025, January 8th, 2026, and the April 16th, 2026. Commissioners,
Sorry. So I apologize. April's minutes did not get added to your packet. So if you want to
Okay.
just do the first two.
We will
can
scratch
add
that
The next ones the
and go-
next month.
December 4th and January 8th.
Yeah.
All the commissioners have had a chance to review those and make any changes, recommendations to staff for changes. Does anybody have any further changes that need to be made?
I was absent on December 4th. I don't know if we should mention that or not.
Yep. Okay. All right. Hearing no other changes, do we have a motion to approve the minutes as read?
Motion to approve December 4th, 2025 and January 8th, 2026
Dean's made
minutes.
a motion to approve. Do we have a second? We have a second by John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And we'll watch for that April 16th in the next packet. Our next item is administrative items. First is to vacate public utility easement, consideration to vacate a public utility easement for the property located approximately 3619 North, 550 West. And just for those in the audience tonight, we have 5 different items on our agenda tonight, 2 administrative and 3 legislative. Each of these items we will go through, listen to staff do a presentation and report to us on what is being presented to us. Each of us have had a chance to review the packet that has been sent to us. We will ask the petitioner to come up and share any other information they would like to have presented to the body. And then on the items that are public hearing, we will open it for a public hearing. We will not get in a debate back and forth with the commissioners and not ask any questions. Once the public hearing is closed, the commissioners then will have a discussion and we'll take action as needed at that point. So our first one is the vacated public utility easement. We'll turn the time over to Tammy for the presentation.
Okay, thank you. As was mentioned, this is an application that we received to vacate a public utility easement at a residential lot. The address is 3619 North, 550 West. The applicant has gone through the process of obtaining all the release letters from any public utilities that we require releases from. And they have, those have been included in your packets. They have gone through, it takes time to get these release letters. And so I'm impressed that they got through everything, because sometimes it will take a really long time. So staff has reviewed this and we recommend approval vacating the easement.
Okay, do we have the petitioner, the person that was coming up? Would you mind coming up, state your name and address for the record, please?
Right, it's 36 North 550 West.
And do you have anything? We're all impressed because the city even came a couple months ago to ask for an easement change and they still were missing just a couple too. So
Yes,
we're impressed you were able to small down. So
it was not easy, and I
Congratulations.
hope between Tammy and I, we hopefully got some good contacts for future people to get the right people. Because even when you get the right people, it's still a chore, so. Not much to say, we're just vacating the easement. I got an easement all the way around my property, and so it kind of limits you on what you can do. There's no utilities anywhere except from the front. I did this 20 years ago to build a shed, and Dean actually helped me then, and but they said that wasn't good enough, so I go into the process again, so finalize it. Have some options there.
any questions from the commissioners to the petitioner? Okay, thank you. This will become a public hearing, and is this we actually are the recommendation?
Yeah.
Okay, so we go ahead, someone make a motion to open a public hearing.
I'd like to motion that we open a public hearing for the easements.
Okay, Dave Gosner has a motion to open
said
public hearing.
yes.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Manya second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, down in a public hearing. Do we have anybody from the public that would like to address this or make a comment on tonight's item? No one from the public this time. Motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Lanya's made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Public hearing is now closed. Discussion for the commissioner or any other questions for staff? Or motion?
Well, I like vacations, so I'd like to motion. I motion to approve as presented by staff to vacate the public utility at 3619 North, 550 West.
Is it approved or recommendation?
Approved.
Approved, okay. Got a motion by Dean to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Dave Gosner, second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. And just for the public record, we have Manya, Brian, David, Andy, Dean, John, and David in attendance tonight for the people transferring the voice to minutes. Our second item is an administrative item, 3B, preliminary subdivision. Consideration to approve a preliminary residential subdivision located at approximately 500 west, 4300 north. We'll turn the time over to Tammy to present for this group.
Okay, this application has gone through a whole process of rezoning it and a development agreement that went through and was approved by city council. Oh, and a general plan amendment. Sorry about that. And so we have gone through several different reviews on the plans with our development review committee, including Public Works, engineering, myself, fire, and the within the development agreement, it is still A2. The lots are allowed to be a minimum 20,000 square feet, so RE20 requirements for the lots with the open space and just the different considerations and negotiations that went into the development agreement. Staff has reviewed the plans. I think there's a few little things that need to be done before the final plat is printed. Those will be reviewed and approved through DRC. And we've worked with the applicant very closely on getting these things taken care of. And so at this point, what you're looking at is what is in the development agreement. Does it match the plat that we have and the plans that we have from our engineering and public works and the zoning department? Things have been, I think, pretty much taken care of. I don't know if our engineer has any comments that she'd like to make.
I think there were just some detention pond questions, but nothing of consequence.
And that's at the bottom, right? That just
Yes.
needs to be ironed out.
Yes.
Right, so just very minor, couple last little details that need to be addressed, and that can be done through the DRC before the plat is printed and recorded. So staff would recommend approval on the Christopherson Ranch preliminary subdivision application.
And just as a reminder for the audience and for the commission, the development agreement has already been approved and going through, so we're not in the process tonight of reviewing that or trying to make changes to that, because we're basically making sure the subdivision, as Tammy explained, meets the requirements of what we're looking for with that development agreement. So with that, we'd like to go ahead and ask the petitioner if he would like to come up, make any comments for the group. Oh, let's go ahead. Give me just a second. Any questions for the staff? Yes. Just a minute.
If I see discrepancies between the development agreement and the city ordinances, Do we deal with that tonight? Is that already been, is that rolled in?
City ordinance. So what's in the development agreement overrules city ordinance. If it's not addressed specifically in the development agreement, then you defer.
And timing of things like deeding property to the city or doing easements, does that need to be approved before, does that need to be finalized before?
No, it's all
Before
part of
approve
the
it?
subdivision plat.
So if part of the development agreement, we don't have, that's not something that we're worried about, if it, okay.
Correct, yeah.
Now it all get deeded as part of the subdivision plat. Recorded. Okay, other questions for the staff?
I had a question regarding the Mount Majestic subdivision. You mentioned lot 13. Need to have some changes there and perhaps a change on the detention basin. Where does that fit in along the west side there?
So as part of the development agreement, they are substituting storage capacity of the Mount Majestic temporary pond. And they're putting that into the new pond. So that lot in Mount Majestic was a restricted lot because of the storm drain detention pond, but it was planned to be temporary. So between the agreements with the developer made with the property owners and such, we are now abandoning that, pushing the stormwater straight down for 4,400. So that water will go and then it'll be detained down at the bottom at 4,300 now.
Is that going to be on parcel A is where the new detention pond is, or?
Yes,
Parcel C
or
at the bottom, right? Parcels.
Parcel C.
Mm-hmm.
parcel C.
This
Yes.
becomes a detention pond.
And parcel C has doubled or whatever, it's added the 16,000 square feet.
They've added
Yeah.
so they added what the capacity was for Majestic into theirs.
And that has been seeded, and that has been, I guess, would that need to be recorded?
It'll
It'll be part of the record.
there'll be an easement release will be, we'll need to do an easement release for the existing detention pond once the plot is.
That has not been done yet, but it's
Correct.
in the work.
So they
And the
can be
new
done at the same
pond
time.
completed.
Now, is that a pond or that's a?
Sorry, detention pond.
Okay, detention. So it's like pond's already full of water. We don't have any water to put in the pond, so. We should share it. Okay, other questions for staff? Okay, we'd like to ask the petitioner to come up, state name and address, and any relevant information for the group.
Good evening, I'm Val Paul, 3823 Evergreen Drive here in Pleasant View. Been here about 22 years, wonderful place to live. This really represents several years of work to try and get all these moving parts to where it needs to be, and I really appreciate the staff and they've taken to make that happen. There's a lot of work goes into it. I agree that I think we're really close. The only thing that we are trying to with is the retention pond. We've been wanting to relocate this other retention pond to try and make it easier on people. And this is something that we can work out with the DRC. We know that the quantity is fixed in that pond, but what we're finding is it's difficult on some of these acre, 3/4 to an acre lot to the impervious amount of there's kind of an assignment allowance of impervious material that you can use, and it's difficult to put the house or an outbuilding in the driveways and fit within that amount. In the RE20 zone, it's 50% building coverage is the maximum, but you know, in some of the lots, it's going to be quite a bit less than that. And the part that we've got to come to some type of an agreement with is how do we fit within that overall allowance for the pond. I would love to be able to move that retention pond down, but I also need to be able to have those lots have homes and driveways and stuff, so it's not limiting our ability there. So the only thing that I would like to have tonight is to say, hey, there's a fixed quantity. There's nearly 55,000 cubic feet of retention in that parcel C. we want the ability to look at it and say, hey, this is what this lot can have. So we might rebalance, you know, what those lots have. In order to, you know, fit within that overall total. But I think that's something that we can do with the staff. If it comes down to, do we have to abandon the thought of removing this retention pond and relocating it in order to have what's necessary? That's an option. Or can we really look at the RE20 as the, you know, that's kind of been the basis, and say we're 50% coverage. So if there's, you know, if this is an acre lot, there's 43,000 square feet, 50% of that's going to give you 20,000 of impervious or building lot space. So probably a little bit more than what this group needs, but I know that this, you know, the staff is able to help us work through that. That's not the only thing that I think is left on the comments to resolve. Everything else has been addressed. And then we can go from there. So any questions for me or?
Questions for the petitioner?
Some of the earlier comments when this was first presented to the planning commission were concerns about animals getting from your open spaces into Wadman Park. Any thoughts on how that might be accomplished?
Yeah, there's in the code, there's fencing, and the authorized authority or approval authority has the ability to determine should there be a fence? If so, what type of fence should it be? And so from the Wadman Park, if you go there any morning, any evening, the deer and the fox and the turkeys love to go forth. Historically, there's, you know, been a barbed wire fence that most of it's down in the grass, and so it really wasn't, you know, keeping them out. If you put something like a chain link fence, then it's going to stop that. So my thought was, you know, if there's not a need for a fence because we know where the park property lines are, allow that, you know, to come and go rather than necessarily mandating a fence.
So the
I'm just
corridor
wondering-
is backyards? You're thinking the corridor is just the backyards? There's not I saw there's not you don't have a dedicated corridor, so it's just backyards.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
I just wonder if 4400 North could be used by animals or not. I'm not sure where that goes to the east necessarily, probably a subdivision there.
It's another subdivision.
So that probably doesn't really work for animal transit.
The
I'm
back,
just-
yeah, the back part of that, the east side has the trees, the cottonwood trees. We love those. It's a big part and it's a feature of that. Want to retain those. The only ones we have to take out are the ones where they come from 4400. So, you know, that's something that can allow for that to channel back through. And I think that's where it's going to be. But I think the deer are still going to go east and west. They love to be over in parcel A, and their ability to go from there over to the park or from the park up towards the power line. You know, if we don't put a bunch of fence that's going to keep them out, then they're going to continue the pattern that they've been doing.
Wouldn't that be a homeowner decision though, really? I mean, most people are gonna want a fenced yard.
Yeah, so they could do something to pull it back, or you know, perhaps a split rail type of a fence, or you know, like easily maintained, something that will allow the deer and the wildlife to still come back and forth. And
I think particularly through your parcel A to Wadman Park, I don't know. Ideally, I hope you'll maybe consider putting some sort of a pathway for them.
yeah, that's I mean, nothing's gonna be built on that east side where all the cottonwoods are. So that's gonna be a spot. That's a natural spot. I think the east and west, we have things that we can do regarding the fencing that will allow that east and west traffic to go. And I'd really like to have that be that way.
Yeah.
For a staffing perspective on the fence, just dealing with encroachment into city property where fencing wasn't in place, I would highly recommend having a fence of some sort for the border of the park as shown in plans.
Within the plan, yeah.
That's, we've got, already have,
Cause that's already part of the agreement, right?
yes, and even just defining, fortunately, a lot of people in near ponds or unkempt type areas like Wadman Park would be the more natural. They taken to encroaching into those, and I think we have 3 on the table right now that we're trying to address. Private property structures built over those property lines, and so I would highly recommend some type of fencing, at least
That
bordering.
makes sense.
But
Is
then
there-
they
is there no
prefer
fence at all
restricting
on the side now?
It was just a barbed wire fence, as he stated.
Oh, okay.
So you're saying there should be a fence, but that's gonna further prevent animal traffic?
I haven't seen a 6-foot chain link fence stop a deer, but
Or a turkey.
yes, or the turkeys that are up there, in my opinion.
It would be preferable to have dedicated corridor there somewhere. If some lots could be rearranged. And I could see swimming pools in there that would require fencing. I could see a lot of reasons why. Well, I have a garden right close by there and I sure want a fence around my garden, so.
Yeah.
And so I don't want deer there, but I want deer to get to Wildman Park. So if there could be that,
And it's probably that.
as a
median-
suggestion,
Yeah,
as a
that
suggestion.
meeting in the middle there,
Mhm.
where if there needs to be a fence, make it so that the adult deer can clear about anything. Small deer, if you've seen a baby deer hung up in a chain link or a barbed wire, a wrought iron fence, that's hard to watch. And
There's
so,
that.
if you had something that, on the east side of the park, it's a split rail fence. They can have some maintenance issues, but there's some beautiful vinyl fencing that split rail that's easy to maintain, still allow, deer and everything else to come and go there without being a problem, so.
Or like I said, a corridor between lot 4 and 5 or 4 and 3, that possible. Thought. I thought.
Yeah, probably at this stage, it's.
Take a major redesign for that.
Understand.
So,
But that was an important part of the discussions that we had during the rezone.
Right. Yeah.
So if we can, it sounds like the fence is, I'm agreeable to that, but if we choose a fence, let's choose one that's going to allow the wildlife to come back and forth the best we can, so.
Okay, any other questions for the petitioner?
Do you have the easement yet for the trail through lot 13 of Mount Majestic?
A lot of it's gonna depend upon this retention, pond. If it doesn't, if we can't fit the hardscape with the new lots, then I'll need to have an easement on the backside of 5 or 6 that allows it to go that way. So that's the
That's the
backup.
plan B.
Yeah, that's the plan B. So there's gonna be, a bark or mulch path, that goes up through one of those 2 areas. There's already a utility easement that's there, and I'd love to be able to address every particular thing, but we'll take as many as we can, and maybe it's a timing thing, where we say, okay, here's the different lots, we know you can't go over that with a hardscape, and then at the end of it, everybody's got that built out, then we consider, relocating that still adequate storage capacity in the retention fund. But the trail, we have the ability on 5 and 6 to put a trail there, a trail easement there, would be pretty straightforward. If we need to.
And it sounds like you're committed to having the trail
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
One way or the other,
Yeah.
trail will be, the
Yeah.
access will be there.
Absolutely, yep.
Okay, any other questions for the petitioner?
I'll keep going if I can. I have a couple more.
You got a
if That's
couple
all
more?
right.
Sure.
Or open space irrigation.
Yeah.
I know that I guess I don't understand all the pieces of it. I know that you've had an exchange with Pineview Water Systems.
Yes.
For the pond, 5,000 acre, over 5,000 acre feet of water with the pond. Was that for the subdivision or was that for the open space?
The open space can't be irrigated with culinary or Pineview secondary water, so it's a fraction of, it's like 1/10 of the pond's capacity is used for the secondary water.
So that the exchange was to provide secondary water for the
Correct.
subdivision,
Correct.
and then you have additional water rights
Yes.
for a pond,
Correct.
for parcel B, A, B, and C, I suppose. The
C
C is a
gonna have
detention basin.
secondary water that will have a meter there, have, be landscaped, and so that's part of the 5.6 acre feet of water.
Okay.
So as it sits right now, parcel A, there's hardly any irrigation at all that's going on there. There's no irrigation whatsoever that goes in that one. Parcel B it slopes down the other side, and there's gonna be very little there too.
I don't know if this is something you can answer, but, it might be in the water study is on file. I understand for the wetlands and the ponds, and that's on file. And some of that's been addressed in the development agreement in the city. I don't see anything about the stream that generally flows through lots 6, 7, and 8. I know this year it's not there, but past test or, past comments, people that live around there have said that that stream's there pretty much every year, almost year round. Is that
Yeah,
being dealt with or someplace that be dealt
There's
with?
two, wetland first, there's 0.05 acres of wetland that's in parcel A,
Mm-hmm,
which is one of the benefits of the clustering tool.
right.
We can say, if we
Identified.
can steer clear of that, it's gonna be on the plat, and so that's the only spot in the delineation from the environmental wetland specialist that was identified as that. And so we don't have any intention to disrupt wetland. The stream, I can let that come and go as I want or as I need to. And so there's two ponds, there's the upper pond and the lower
More of
pond.
those.
The lower pond is gonna be used for, because with Pine View's new, water-wise allocation, it's 0.3 acre feet regardless of the size of the lot. And so that's the same quarter acre lot. And so now the ponds will be used as a tertiary, type of a system that will be privately, operated and take care of some of those areas that Pine View can't and Culinary can't. And does that make sense? So the likelihood of that, becoming a stream that's gonna be there all the time, it's just the gate was left open with the last owner and that's why it was always going. So spring, it will have some runoff, and that goes as part of Mount Majestic's plan. They put in, there's a small retention pond with a 8 to 10 inch pipe that goes down into the stormwater system, and that was part of how they had to mitigate that. It was clogged this year, unclogged it, and life's good. So that's where that's going. So, but it's not a stream that's it's an irrigation overflow rather than historic stream. That makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
Maybe another question on your parcel A. That's 5 acres, looks like of open space. What do you have in mind there?
Yeah, so deer love it, turkey love it. The Russ Lee, his horses have been there for 3 decades. And so the horses keep it down, so it's not a fire hazard. And I mow it once or twice a year with a big mower, and it keeps it down and keeps the stuff. So it's gonna be naturescape. I don't anticipate, there's not gonna be any buildings on there as far as no building construction.
It's
And so
not
that's
allowed,
part of,
yeah.
that's part of the development agreement.
Are you thinking any pathways or
No,
not really?
yeah, homeowners associations are a burden and people don't necessarily want to pay for no amenities, but they like the open space. And so it'll be donated to a land conservation entity that will allow it to maintain it and keep it open. But there's not gonna be any buildings. That's where the wetland is, and the reason why it doesn't need a lot of any irrigation is because it's always draining in there. If you were to go up there, you'd have to have your hip waders right now because there's a lot of water that comes in that spot.
Are the residents going to be discouraged from going there so that the animals can be undisturbed, or is it just gonna be a
Yeah,
whatever,
Yeah, it's gonna
whatever,
be open.
whatever
It's not gonna
goes?
be- It's not it's the visual beauty. There's not any, somebody else is gonna own it. This other entity's gonna own it. So they're not gonna have the ability to go on and off it. That makes sense.
Yes.
So really, the deer love it. And so
Yeah.
love to keep that going.
So is it gonna have a perimeter fence then, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, there's a fence that'll be on, there's a current barbed wire fence that keeps the horses in, so that'll be removed in order to put the road in. And there'll be a fence on the east side. There's a barbed wire fence, and an electric fence on the very east or the west side of it. That's very effective to keep the animals out. That was one of the things on the fencing, is that this group can decide what we want to do with that agricultural fence. A chain link fence is a scratching post for cows and horses. They like to knock it down. Barbed wire and electric fence keep the animals out. And if there were ever some livestock on the inside, it would keep them in. So our preference would be have the agricultural fence, make sure that it's fulfills its purpose of keeping any nuisance or animals out of the development. And I think that would be the wisest thing on that west side.
Okay, thank you very much.
While we're talking, maybe I want to just make it for the record. One of the,
You have a question for him, or just, we're gonna open it up for a discussion first.
yeah, because I know the answer, so it's okay. We can wait.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we can actually have a discussion now, open up for a public hearing, and then finish up with a discussion. I'm gonna actually ask a question first, Dan, because of the water question with the detention pond at the end and coming across from the other detention pond, eliminating that. I hear that we're like, well, if it's 50% or less, and we can start using the impervious ground from all of the building lots, but that's typically something that we use in our calculation. Is it for the detention? Now, this will be all something that you and the DRC would review, and if it's gonna change, does it need to come back to us as a group?
No, I don't think it would need to come back. We're just trying to nail down the max impervious area. And the stormwater calculations.
Okay.
I feel like we'll get to a point where the parcel C will be adequate. And the Mount Majestic parcel will be fine to abandon that pond, but we're just not quite there yet.
Okay. So that would be something that if we say approval based on this being resolved with the DRC and engineering before it moved on. So it wouldn't have to come to us if we make that as part of the agreement.
That'd be great.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was clear for the group, since that was a kind of a hot topic point. Okay, any discussion items before we move on to open for public hearing? John, you want to discuss now or? Go ahead.
Well, a few of the, we've already learned that the DRC takes precedent over city ordinance, but would like to, for the record, like to state what some of those discrepancies are. First would be the purpose of an open space in our ordinances is for recreational facilities or natural state. Doesn't list agricultural, so that's been added to the DRC.
Correct.
It also said that any open space is for the special benefit of the residents or public. It doesn't state that visual benefit is an actual benefit. It kind of has other items that are the same. So that's that's a pretty low threshold that the development agreement is allowing.
And I tend to agree, but just as a reminder for this group, we gave our input, not have input on the development. That was something that was worked out with the city council and the person and the petitioner. So at this time, we're not rehashing those because we can't make any of those changes. So
Stating it for the record.
that it's in the record, but
And
yes,
that-
I hear what you're
And where
saying.
we didn't have the opportunity to talk about the development agreement, this is the only
That-
chance we've had to make those comments.
But yes,
Yeah.
so city council. So, yep.
Got it.
So, no, I appreciate that. We'd like to go ahead and would someone like to make a motion for a public hearing?
I'll motion, we move to public hearing.
John's made a motion to open public hearing. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
David, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're now in a public hearing. As a reminder, we will limit the time so we don't go over too long at night, but we'll ask anybody to come up, state your name and address for the record. And any comments, we're going to ask that we don't get into a back and forth discussion at this time, but we'd like to hear any comments from the audience at this time. So we'll open it up to the audience.
Scott Nicholson, 4415 North, 400 West. I would urge a no vote on this site plan right now, the preliminary, for the following reasons. First one is, I hope you guys had a chance to read my letter I sent out. I know it was late today, but This only came out like 3 days ago, so we didn't have a lot of time to look over stuff. And I hope you guys had a chance to go through the 358 pages of documents that you're actually voting tonight. So, yeah, good luck with that. I'm a little bit confused, so I know we were just talking about the ordinance and, how the development agreement supersedes the ordinance. Well, the way I read it, and it was my first point in the letter I wrote, was, the lot sizes are not to be, 18. 18.35.040F, lot sizes shall not be less than 1 acre, and that's in the ordinance, right? And I get that the development agreement would supersede that. In the development agreement, it says 1.1.1F, that all lots shall meet the requirement of 18.35.040F. So how did we get from 1 acre down to half an acre? That part I don't get, and I know if you don't wanna have a discussion on this, fine, but something you guys need to talk about, because it's in the development. So I know we voted down before Val bought the property, we voted down half-acre lots and 1 acre lots 4 and 5 years ago. And now we've gone from A5 to A2, and now we're getting half-acre lots out of this? What happened? How do we end up with half-acre lots on this property? It was A5 a year and a half. That's unacceptable. And that's part of the clustering, which was my second point, was the clustering is, I can't remember if you guys said that you've actually done clustering in the city before. I don't think you have. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but right now, I'm not a big fan of clustering. If that's allowing half-acre lots with this clustering, that's totally outside what we were trying to do when you got the A2 zoning. This is just not right. And unfortunately, I'm a homeowner who gets screwed the most in this, because what happens with the clustering is, instead of me looking out my backyard, seeing one house, the 2 acre lot, now I'm looking at 3. You know, so, you know, I know Val has rights as a property owner to develop his property as he wants. What about my rights? I go from looking at, you know, alfalfa field to maybe potentially looking at 1 house, now I'm looking at 3. That's just not right, people. I'm sorry, it's just not. You know, I mean, what are we doing here? So anyway, if I was gonna develop this property, I would have done it backwards. I would have put the houses on the west side, which was actually what Val said he was gonna do in the first place when he walked around everybody's houses and said he wasn't gonna do that. You know, so I'm a little disappointed in that. And then that would have left the open space, would have been perfect to leave the open space where all the forest is right now, right? The forest, you keep your pathway for the wildlife and everything down to Wadman if you put the majority of the houses on the west side. How we ended up with all the houses on the east side, I have no idea. You know, and this is site plan review preliminary. Can you guys tell them to go change this? I mean, are we stuck with this now? I mean, this, you guys are voting on this. I say send it back to the drawing board. Because this isn't right. The half-acre lots and everything being up against everybody's property lines, we have to look at 3 houses now instead of 1. It's not right, people. You need to change this, and that development agreement, if you guys snuck in the RE20 in there, and that's where you're gonna stick with, I am very, very disappointed in this city. Thank you.
Anybody else that would like to have a conversation or make comments to the commission? Anybody else from the audience who would like to make any comments? And for the record, we did receive the letter that you submitted today, so we appreciate that. We were able to read that. Okay, hearing no other comments from the public, do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Dean's made a motion to close. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Brian. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the public hearing is now closed. We'll go ahead and open it for discussion for the commissioners' thoughts and ideas.
I'm just stressed about the animal transit. For being adjacent to a wildlife park that the Wadmans donated to Pleasant View. We're really not facilitating the movement of animals up there.
I would probably just remind you, and that was some discussion that we've had as we started this whole property up there. That was a request that we asked of the petitioner to keep that in mind. You know, it's not ours to determine that. I mean, that's not in the ordinance that says leave a coordinate. So we've got to be real careful that we keep it into what is the ordinance's evaluate. You know, if he found this was the best way to do his subdivision, we can request, but I don't know in any city ordinance that says you are forced to leave an easement for animal. So we just have to remind ourselves up here.
And I appreciate that, but this is the first time I've seen a site plan for it.
This has been before us a few times, I think.
The general development agreement has been discussed, but I haven't seen this is the most detailed site plan I've seen.
I think it was almost this exact one when they came and presented it to us, other than the change of a little bit of lot or parcel B was the only thing that I think has changed from the last time that this came up. So, just as a reminder, you know, we sometimes, and this is for sometimes people in the audience that think that those of us on this side of the table are a little cold-hearted, or we would like to see certain things. As this body, we are not an elected group, we're appointed. And sometimes our hearts may get into it, not our minds, but we are required to vote basically what's on the books. And sometimes I know, how would you do that? The development agreements are driving force at this, not necessarily someone would say, hey, that's the ordinance. And I read it, John, with the same thing. I made those same comments but ultimately I have to remember there was a development agreement not made with this body, but with city council. And then that is the binding agreement that we're looking at, is how does that fit with what we're putting through together? So we're looking at it from a site plan. Does it fit? The only thing that's really outstanding in my mind, I have two questions. One is, you know, the parcel C, which they talked about the water, and that's going to be addressed by the DRC and our engineering group before it can move forward. And then my question, and I'm going to throw it Tammy, is parcel B was changed from the last preliminary plot that we saw that was just a general idea. And it was changed, those two lots were made smaller and parcel B was larger. And all the discussions, everything that I read, parcel A was discussed as open space, and I don't read anything on parcel B. Were you able to find any more specifics that came out of the development agreement?
I didn't see anything specific to parcel B.
So would parcel B then revert back to, like John said, wildlife and recreation, no agricultural, because it was not defined in, I mean, we could make that recommendation to the city council that it stays as part of that because it was not agreed to as parcel A in the development agreement.
City council won't be seeing this again,
Okay,
because you guys are the approval
the approval body.
So,
I think
unless I'm missing it somewhere in the development agreement.
for the same reason that we were just talking, that we followed the development agreement. The development agreement does not address parcel B. So parcel B,
No, it doesn't.
so it would have to refer to the city ordinance.
So it would go to the city ordinance.
We have
You're right.
no other,
That
no
is,
reason we can
you're
change
right.
that.
Yep, so we wouldn't need to change it because it just defers back to the city ordinance, which city ordinance is recreational or wildlife, natural state. Okay, thank you for pointing that out. That was my biggest question, but I think that clears it up fairly well. Okay, other questions to discussion? You're just some thought.
I'm good on this one.
Okay,
It's my continued concerns about the discrepancies, and the
but
process.
we have no say. in
We have
that,
no
right?
say, but for the record, there are just, the agreement does not match the city ordinances.
But that's why they created development agreement to create the cluster or to create
Well,
the
we have
working of an agreement between the developers.
we have a city ordinance for clustering. It's just the development agreement,
It does require development agreement.
yes. But then the development agreement took some liberties to
There's some give and take on
so
those.
how's an ordinance like to a zoning regulation? Because would a development agreement be able to change a zone?
No.
If,
Technically.
but can a cluster?
Zoning. process.
Correct. Correct. But if they didn't have, but the development agreement couldn't change what's required in a zone. Yeah, it can.
It
It
can.
can.
be accepted to all of our.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Cause that's why I say, what, for us, there's no need to dive into those fine tooth details. Because the agreement's been made. And that's at the time that we would have had a say into it, right?
And that's the second, my secondary comment is that we should have had a say and we did not. But that's gone.
Any chance we can have two city council members here
No,
tonight?
we're not gonna-
Can't-
No,
No.
we're not gonna do
I
it.
mean, because.
This is our meeting, this is our commission, so we are the planning body, so this is for us. So I'm gonna make that decision to keep that to this group. They had a chance at the open mic if they wanted to come and discuss that.
This is a preliminary subdivision application. You're saying I don't recall not seeing better animal transit in the earlier editions. I don't know if you have an idea when it's been presented
Well,
previously that.
we saw a similar map to this when they came and we did the subdivision or rezoning, the rezoning
Had a
for,
concept
they had a
plan,
concept plan, and it was,
but that wasn't.
the only
fully
difference
built to anything from that.
yeah, the only thing I saw different on that one was on parcel B, these lots came back further, and parcel B was a smaller lot, and so it looks like they changed the lot size.
So
Is it-
essentially tonight, we're looking to approve
Correct.
a site plan.
It's a subdivision plat.
Yeah, the preliminary is a kind of it's not really preliminary. I mean, it's not one that we go back, we don't.
You're not getting another
We're-
swipe at
no,
this unless
it's not.
there's a specific
State is
reason for
preliminary.
water or et cetera that needs to come back to us, and we stipulate it comes back to us.
What I understood too is it's preliminary, but it's not one that's negotiable. It's not it's past the development stage.
Well, if you have a reason why you think you need to have it come back, then we can either table it.
With a condition.
Or we can, yeah, but it's gotta be for a specific reason. We can say, well, we off the developer, we have to say we're tabling it or we're denying it for a specific reason so they can try to resolve it. If that's, so our choice is prove it, we can deny it, or we can table it, but if we do that for either one of those, it's gotta be for a specific reason. Not prolonging the process. Manya, any other comments, thoughts?
I'm just trying to think of what we heard and maybe I misheard, but it was my understanding that there was going to be room for some animal crossing between lot 4 and 5. Did I mishear that? Maybe I misheard.
Mentioned that earlier, it's just.
Okay.
An option if what the fencing.
I thought the
those kind of things.
petitioner said that was an option, so
As we've
maybe.
had public
there's-
meetings in the past, I think people have come up and asked for some of those things, but it doesn't mean that it has to be drawn into that. So we
Yeah.
have heard that public comment in the
Okay,
past, yes.
okay.
I'm not gonna be able to approve this without animal transit to Wadman Park.
Based on what?
All of our previous discussions and people that have come before the planning commission.
Do
If
you
this
have
is
a
preliminary plan-
specific city code
Pardon?
that you
Yeah.
can deny this based
Yeah,
on?
that's what I'm saying. That's what remember, this is, we are what is on the books, or what are we judging it, and that's basically the development agreement. We're making decisions based on what's on the book, so if you have a specific reason, we can go back to the developer and say, based on this ordinance, we need this. I'm very open to
The
table it
development
or
agreement
push it.
is general guidelines. This is an actual site plan,
Development agreement's a contract.
but it doesn't state where the lots are supposed to be and what size they're supposed to be. It states minimums. But it says what the clustering is supposed to amount to, but this is an actual site plan.
There's a subdivision plat, yes, that's correct, and it has
And
been
this is
reviewed
the-
by staff and engineering to make sure that it complies with the development agreement that was previously approved by the city council. So it is in compliance with everything that we have on the books. A few notes from the engineer left to be addressed.
Can I just ask a question? So we had a concern regarding the lot size.
Mhm.
Can you
So
speak
this
on
that
that?
he's referring to is actually, the open space, where open space parcels will not be less than an acre. In the development agreement, they are governed by 18.35.040 as a whole, not 040F, which is the open space. So under that, they are allowed to be down to an RE20 lot size. And then with some open space, they can go down to an RE15 size.
Okay.
But even down at the RE15, they are judged on the ordinance of the RE20 for all that lot.
Yes.
That's correct. Okay. David, any comments that you would like to share with us? John, anything else? Dean?
Yeah. I've got some thoughts. Kind of addressing the animal corridor issue. Where we haven't required animal corridors on any other subdivisions above, well, from here up, we haven't required that. I don't think requiring it here is the place to make an exception to the rule. In the previous meetings that we've had about this property, I've always been for it, and the reason why I've always been for it is because we have so many other subdivisions that are up there that are already in the half-acre size or similar. And I've never felt that it was fair for the city to say to an owner that you can't do what's already been done on the wire next to you. So this property today is divided basically by a barbed wire, and next to that property, there are half-acre lots and there are larger lots and there are larger parcels all around there. And the fact that we're doing clustering and stuff to create more open space and kind of keep it the way that it is, I think should be acknowledged. There's been a tremendous amount of hours that has gone into this project from the planning commission, from the engineers, and from everyone involved. And it's not just a, hey, let's do this because it sounds cool kind of thing. I think there's been a lot of concerns that have been addressed in the past. I know that Tyson has taken the time to explain to me the water concerns there, the water study, and I think those have all been addressed, because if they hadn't, I don't think we'd be getting the approvals and the recommendation for approval from staff and from engineering. I think that if there was substantial issues, that we wouldn't be receiving those recommendations as we are today. The animal corridor thing, I understand and respect greatly. I am an outdoorsman, love the outdoors. I love the fact that the animals still walk through my yard today. I will tell you that they have us highly trained, and we've paved all their paths for them, so they don't even have to get dirty if they don't want to. So the animal corridor thing for me, doesn't fit as a major concern, because the animals are going to adapt and continue to travel through here as they have for centuries. It's why they're across the street right now. So I love that everybody's concerned about stuff, but the truth is, when it comes to doing planning commission and development, none of us would be here if it wasn't for approval of certain things. And my subdivision wasn't approved the first time it went through, and most likely your subdivision and your house wasn't approved the first time it went through either. But I'm grateful for developers, I'm grateful for development, and the fact that we're able to improve and bring more people to our city, which we need to be able to help survive our community. I'm glad that we're not doing large apartment complexes up there. That makes me really happy. And I think that's all I have to say.
Thank you. And just an add-on, I really appreciate those comments, because it kind of goes back to my statement of, we as a body do not always agree I think a few of us, as this has come up to us over the time, some of us didn't agree with certain parts of it, and we actually voted or recommended certain things to take place. Roads, sidewalks, water, placement. But ultimately, when it comes to this group, and that's how it got passed on, the zoning change was, we're voting based on what is the ordinance of the city, and that's what we've been asked to accomplish. So, I'm open to a motion. Therefore, we have, for those in the audience, we can make a motion to approve. We can make a motion to deny. If we make a motion to deny, then I ask that you stipulate why, so the petitioner will understand. Or even we have that opportunity to table it, but that's even more. If you're gonna table it, I wanna know why, so we can ask staff to get us some more details, or somebody to give us a reason why we can't vote. So I'm open for a motion.
I motion we table it. I'd like to talk with city council further about it.
Or what?
I would be interested to know what the thought was, why they didn't make any more, animal corridor for that. Just a motion.
Okay,
You may not like it, may not get voted.
I'm listening, and
but-
that's, we have a motion on the table to table pending review with city council for possible animal.
Since we're the
control.
last, we're the last, the buck stops here tonight.
Is that a pun? Or the butt?
So, well, yeah, there could be
Sorry.
a pointer.
If you don't laugh, partly because the development agreement is already situated, so if I want to talk this, we have to make sure. But there is a motion on the table. Do we have a second on the table? A motion second to table. Do we have a second motion, the tabling of the this preliminary subdivision? Last call, do we have a second for the motion to table the proposal? Hearing no second, the motion is removed. I'm open for other motions.
David, I'm gonna jump on this grenade and I apologize. I would like to motion to approve item 3B for the preliminary subdivision of 500 West, 4300 North as presented by staff with the recommendations from engineering, staff, and the DRC as proposed.
Okay, will that cover, that'll cover the water issue, right? Okay. We have a motion to approve the preliminary subdivision on 500 West, 4300 North with the DRC and engineering review finalization of recommendations. Do we have a second?
I will reluctantly second that agreement based on that we have to follow the development agreement that supersedes the ordinance that shouldn't be that way. But
We have a second, we have a second by John. Any discussion on the motion on the table? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any vote?
I'm not gonna vote on it because I've been told I don't have grounds.
Okay, we have one that sustains, but I think he does, is it state rule that he does need to make a vote or not?
Either
I-
vote or abstain.
Vote or abstain. Okay, I thought that was a new ruling with the state that you had to vote one way or the other. We should check on that, but tonight we won't require that, but it seemed like one of the trainings, they said that we're up here, you should make a statement, you should vote, but we'll check on that at this time.
To the planning commission code.
So for the record, for the minutes, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yay, and David is abstained from the vote tonight. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We'll see if we can get you with the city, the RC committee and the engineer to see if we can get that next phase. Thank you. All right, we want to move forward with the legislative item. We have 4A, adoption of updated public work standards. Consideration for recommendation to city council to approve updated development, design, and construction standards, the public work standards for 2026. Before we turn the time over to Tammy, we want to thank the entire staff and everybody in the Public Works group and the engineers for spending a lot of time with red ink and red lines to update the standards. Because we tried to do a lot of reading on this. We are not engineers, so for the record, for this group, myself, I did a lot of reading, but I do it in bites because you'd kind of glaze over. So we appreciate, maybe staff can give us some of the highlights and what is being brought for us at this tonight.
We are also very grateful for Dana and Tyson because I also am not an engineer. So Dana and Tyson have worked a lot of hours, I think, going through all of our public works standards, and as the follow-up item to this is a couple of our ordinances that kind of go hand in hand with the public works standards that needed to be tweaked in order to make each other work. So with that, we have and your staff report is put together by our engineer, Dana Schuler. Really grateful for her to do that. We have had in her report, she states that the last time the document was revised was in 2019. And then there were some changes made in 2021 of the streetlight standards. And so there were just some updates that needed to happen. I'm happy that Dana and Tyson are here tonight, like I said, so that if you have any questions, you can direct them towards those two. But with that and all the changes and the red lines that have been made, we recommend that you vote to approve the public works standards. And then I'll just tie it in and do a one and done presentation. Also the chapters 17.18 and chapter 17.20. 1718 is subdivision development standards, and 1720 is required improvements and guarantees. Both of those have been kind of gone through, like I said, and changes made so that they work appropriately together. And so we recommend approval for both of those.
Okay, questions for staff or engineers or Tyson?
I have a couple of general questions. Based on, or you're trying to find you the same pages so that we can all be on the same section. Section 2.02, developer responsibilities.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Section 2.02, developer responsibilities. Bottom of the page. Item C, improvements. Number 2 states that the city will be responsible for paying difference in cost between the master plan infrastructure size and the minimum infrastructure size. Don't we typically have a reimbursement agreement for those sort of things?
Yes, go ahead. Yes, so when we run into that circumstance where we have a larger line or road, then we'll enter into a pioneering agreement with the developer.
Because it says here the city will pay for that. The city will be responsible for paying the difference. Shouldn't it mention the reimbursement agreement?
We can certainly add that language.
I would think most cities do require reimbursement agreement. I think it should be written into the code.
But is it a reimbursement? Are you requiring them to
Just a change.
pay
in
for the whole thing and we
Typically.
reimburse them for the difference?
Yeah, in developments I've done.
I mean, that was similar to the site that we just saw right now. We're gonna ask for a larger size. The city council debated on, do we go with the larger size? They are only required for the smaller size and the city'd have to pay the difference. So,
Well, in that case, though, there was a reimbursement agreement, I believe,
Yes,
on that
yes.
development.
well, no, they shrunk the size down.
Oh,
So it's not the 80, it's down to the 60.
well, I think we should have language in here that references a reimbursement agreement.
Certainly.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I like that.
On your section 6.01, general design standards, talks about the speed limits on various roadways. I'm just a little bit wondering about 4300 Skyline Drive. Is that considered a minor arterial?
It, Skyline is a major collector.
Major cluster.
It's a major collector,
Yes, sir.
would be 35 mile an hour. I just wonder, time you're going loops through and round a roundabout, I don't see you, you really can, I guess you can have,
This is a design speed, not speed limit. So the road will be designed for 35 miles an hour, but the set speed limits will be based on the design and the
55.
safe. 55.
I just wonder if you're really gonna be able to get 35 mile an hour going around a roundabout and all those U-turns.
Yeah, but that'll be decided more from our chief of police and
That'll-
group making the recommendation with the engineers, right?
Can you down speed in certain sections type thing, or?
Certainly, yes. But like I said, this is just a general design speed so that the curves are nice and wide, especially for like skyline type thing.
So
But the
posted-
speed limit, the posted speed limit can be less.
Oh, so these would be the maximum and you can have less.
Like the roundabout up here, it's got 20 miles per hour marked all the way around it. And there are some spots you come into it, I would challenge you to go much faster.
Yeah, I just was wondering, so that we will have some sort of a reduction.
Designed for that, but probably less.
Okay, those were my two concerns.
Good, thank you. Other questions? Tyson, quick question for you. What's the biggest change on here that you saw? And the collection? And did we get it updated with the way that'll help you develop in the open spaces going forward? Okay. I know that's been a discussion moving forward, is making sure that we have the design standards for that, so it's good, okay.
Yeah. Maintenance sightings. Things throughout, I think, can all be permanent. It would be a big difference. Will it be growth in a manner that maintain the cost benefit?
Okay. I believe.
Stormwater, i.e. This is helping meet some of our stormwater audit items that, not having standards.
Some of them, the state has changed it, and we're updating our standards, so we meet the new state changes, is that correct?
Yes.
We are required to do a public hearing since this is an ordinance change, is that correct? So with that, do we have a motion to open public hearing?
And planning commission is city council is the,
So we're just a recommendation body, correct?
I'll make a motion that we open for public hearing.
You guys made a motion to open. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Dean. Gotcha. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're now in an open public hearing. Do we have anybody from the audience that would like to address us on the first item, which is the adoption of updated public works standards? Can we just roll this into both, or need to open two public hearings? We'll open two public hearings. Let's take proper. Motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Dean's made a motion to close. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Brian. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any discussion from the table or a motion? We're going to be a recommendation to city council.
Can we go over language then for that reimbursement agreement?
Yes, what would you like to
would be
suggest?
acceptable? Well, I mean, typically the developer pays full boat and then the developer gets reimbursed. The city doesn't front the money for someone's
Tyson,
development.
Tyson's done this because I've sat in city council meetings where we have somebody that's going to build something, but then they have to get a bid. Is that right, Dana? That they have to have a bid that says, if I put a 60-foot road in or an 80-foot road, and that bid determines the recommendation for the city offset, right?
They typically, when we enter into like a betterment agreement or a reimbursement agreement with a developer, they're using their contractor. And they're probably getting bids, but we can't specify that they do. But we do have to agree on the unit prices that they're gonna use. So it's not just we're gonna give them whatever they're asking for. We're reviewing that and agreeing to it.
But who pays the bill?
So once it's constructed and inspected and accepted by the city, then the city via the agreement can cut the check to the developer.
So you're still making the city responsible for the upsizing.
Yes, that
Is
is,
that typical?
yes.
It's not the developments I've done before, been involved in. I still owe land in California for a reimbursement agreement to the developer.
So with ours, if like, for example, if our master plan shows a 12-inch water line and the development is only, like, it's only necessary to have an 8-inch, which that's the minimum per state, the city would pay for the bigger pipe. Like they would pay just the upsize cost to get to the 12-inch pipe. And it's typically pretty minimal in the grand scheme of the development. But it is because it is a betterment for the city as a whole, then it's the city's responsibility to pay.
So how would the reimbursement work? Any future developer would reimburse the city for that upsizing, or how?
That's via impact fees.
Pardon, I missed that.
That gets done via impact fees. So usually if there's a 12-inch line that's necessary, that's because of a master plan, that's because of your capital facilities plan and your impact fee facilities plan. So you have, as homeowners are building, they're paying their impact fees, those are going towards those type of projects.
So you're saying there isn't a reimbursement agreement per se?
They're-
It's not like
Well-
they're paying an impact fee, but they would have to pay either way. How does that, it's not really a reimbursement to the city. I mean, yes, they do get money back in, but it's not, I don't quite see how that functions in the form of
Okay,
reimbursement
help,
agreement.
help me out, and make sure I'm understanding, isn't it? They have to put in an 8-inch pipe. We're asking them to put a 12-inch. They pay for the whole thing. And the city's the one that's reimbursing the developer for the upsize. So that when I guess and I'm just asking to make sure I understand you properly. When I heard reimbursement, it's more of any upsizing to road, to pipe, et cetera. The city would create a reimbursement. You're asking for us to say, here is our reimbursement. The city will pay you for the difference. We asked you to put the bigger pipe in. When it's done and we inspect it, we will reimburse you for paying for our upsizing.
Yeah, and
I guess I looked at it backwards from what I think you're trying to say, right?
In my experience, and California is a special animal, but future developers reimburse the initial developer for their oversizing.
No, I don't believe that.
That's what impact fees.
That's just the impact
That's
fee. So
it.
when they develop, then we hit them with an impact fee and that's what helps us pay for these type of upgrades.
Yes,
Is it, that's it?
yes.
Well, I think, in the future, I would hope we would maybe look at that. Like I say, California is always a little bit ahead of the regular nation, but
Or behind.
well,
Depending on which way you want to look at it.
But the city shouldn't be stuck with development fees for the developer.
But they're not stuck with them because you're getting them in a different portion. That's what you're paying into those impact fees. So you're just not collecting at the point that you're referring to. You're collecting it at a different stage.
But the developer would have to pay that impact fee irregardless of how big the sewer line was or the water line was. That the impact fee isn't changing because it had to be upsized.
Yeah, it's accounted
It's-
for in that plan, so you're
then
able to
that's-
charge that
Yes.
capital.
Yeah, because Tyson does a whole capital plan with the engineers and say, this is where we need all of our growth to happen. We need sewer lines going over there. So what's the cost gonna be? So they create the impact fees based on that. Is that right?
Yes, engineers with our input generally
Right.
with that level.
So it's a variable impact
Just to
fee?
clarify,
Or are we
I'm
saying,
not that smart.
No, but they grow it over time, right?
how often do we view those impact fees?
That's a city question.
7 to 10.
Yeah. Plus or minus.
How often?
It should be every 7 to 10 years.
7 to 10 years. There you go. We do that with the budget, so.
Yeah, unless it's a betterment that's on a maintenance item, so sometimes you have betterments that Andy would have been mentioning that you don't have impact, it's a maintenance issue that you're upgrading because they're nearby, so you can get that cost lower. Cause then they're not doing the mobilization and bringing them in kind of like a bid process, but.
But it would be a citywide impact fee, really not related to any particular section of the city.
Yeah, citywide, that impact.
So
fee is
entire,
set.
everybody in town gets to pay a higher impact fee because somebody oversized.
No, it's.
Just at the point of building, so you're
Right.
not paying it like all year long. That's when
If
your
you build
development
next to it,
built.
then that's the impact is paid by the people that are coming in to build. That's the impact fee.
Yes.
It's not impact by, we're not all paying it.
Any
It's a
new
one-
development would pay an
They,
impact
the
fee.
new development pay the
So
impact fee.
anybody developing anywhere in Pleasant View is gonna pay for an upsizing in a particular subdivision.
Potentially, because the systems we consider are whole systems so the entire water system functions as an entire system. So whether the tank is over here, or the tank is over there, doesn't matter where you live, that tank is gonna serve you. So we look at it as an entirety. And it serves everybody, so we don't break it up into areas.
Let me just give you a for instance. We sold 20 acres to Walmart in California. They put in $8 million worth of infrastructure that they didn't need. And the city of Anderson, California created a reimbursement agreement. Any future developer has to reimburse Walmart for their excess infrastructure. I'm just stating that we ought to look at something like, because we're on the verge of a lot of major development on our northern bench. And we really can't raise our impact fees in order to cover huge sewer lines, huge water lines, huge roadways.
But we can. The city council can do that. They can raise impact fees.
Well, it would be.
That's not the.
Be better targeted to target developments.
And that, since whatever areas are, yeah, it is citywide, I can see that, but if I was, majority of the developments on north of 4300, that's where the majority of the impact piece, that's where the.
The only one for the building, right? It's all it's like that.
That's gonna be creating the cost.
But
yeah, since someone down by Highway 89 could be paying as well.
absolutely, I mean, you got a lot of pre-existing lots that are not yet developed that are gonna have a higher fee because new development went in on the hillside.
There are other tools, so if you came in and the city didn't have the funding, say they needed a culinary tank to build in an area of town that we couldn't serve with what's existing. There are other types of processes and agreements that are available that you could enact during that, because the city couldn't build another tank
I
for
was
it.
gonna say,
All right.
creative development agreement.
Yeah, yes. But there's other pay methods, like I think for
Yeah.
maybe what the scenarios you're referencing would be a large scale, maybe the city couldn't afford it to upfront
And-
or reimburse, I don't know
and
what
there
the
have been-
scenario there is.
There have been developers that'll put in their part and then create a easement on, don't suggest this, but an easement on the end of their property. So when someone builds to the next of it, then they have to pay part of the impact fee to them because they put the road in and the other person didn't. So there are creative ways that developers have done some of that. It's
Yeah, so
not the
this would
prettiest the way it's done, but
just be referencing, correct me if I'm wrong, referencing the ones where you're in the scenario of more of that capital plan and the impact fees. But maybe not some of those other wider scenarios.
If I'm understanding what the process, or maybe what's behind what they're doing when you did in California, is the city was pulled out of the funding piece. The developer did the planning, and the secondary developers came in and reimbursed the first developer. The city was out of the picture. Is that?
Well, they basically wrote the agreement with the developer.
But funding wise,
The city did not have to foot the bill for the increased infrastructure.
sounds like that's the difference between that process
I just-
and an impact fee process.
Maybe
It's
you
the
can
city
tell
is
us
doing some
that-
funding.
Is there any way to state this? How would you state it, or does it really make any sense if you're not gonna get you're not getting reimbursed, you're doing it by impact fees, but it's not
See,
development
I
specific.
look at it's the other way around. When I heard you say reimbursement, the developer puts in the increased pipe.
Mhm.
The city has to reimburse the developer for paying for it. Now you want to go after, find a way for the city to come up with funds, but that's the future impact fees of future development. If the city says we should raise the price to offset those increases, the city has to come back and make an increase to the impact fee, which cities do that all the time. So I guess when I heard you say reimbursement, it wasn't them reimbursing you, it was us reimbursing them for the upside.
Maybe could you explain on this, on the earlier, the Christopherson Ranch that has some reimbursement in the agreement? How is that working?
Maintenance.
What's that?
Exactly like.
Pardon?
Well, we asked them to upsize this or the road because here's all they were required to do. And so in the DRC, we said, we'd like you to add this, or not DRC, but the development agreement. We'd like you to add this. So they are on the hook for this size of a road. We've asked this addition to it. When they finish it and it's inspected, the city will reimburse the developer for adding that extra road or sidewalk or whatever it was. The city's reimbursing them for the difference. Because we wanted this extra. The city decided that.
Is that how you see it as well?
It was for the water line. So
Correct. But it was supposed to be for a road, but it was for the water line.
it turned, in the end, it was just for the water line. And the water line was an existing water line that traversed the property, but it's been there for what, 50 years? A very long time. It was in poor shape. The PRV vault was in poor shape. It needed to be replaced. So under the agreement with the developer, that's for replacing the water line to put it under the new road where it should be with a new vault, new PRV. Doing it now will save the city money in the future of having to replace it and put it in the road. We don't want to have to do that.
But the developer will do,
Yes.
once it's inspected, the city will pay the developer for doing our work.
Can I just suggest this needs some tuning up? We could be on the line for millions of dollars of infrastructure on that hillside.
We don't always have betterments because there's not a lot of scenarios heading the other way. I'm not saying there won't be any, but they don't all have betterments in them. So this one we asked for because of where the line was gonna be. Usually if you have an older main and it's under a field without farm traffic versus now you're a public right of way and vibration, how it was installed back then, it might hold up fine enough in that setting, but then you throw a road on top of it, traffic and
But
not
we're
mention the PRB.
not only talking water lines, but we're talking roadways, water lines, sewer lines, gas lines. There's an immense amount of development that's gonna have to take place to get housing on that hillside.
But if I
But Rick,
Looking
the
at it right-
developer is responsible for all the
developer has to
improvements
build the road.
unless we ask
Unless-
them to do
yep.
something more than they're required to do.
Okay,
So we don't pay for every ounce of infrastructure that goes in on a new development. The developer pays for that. But if we're asking them to upsize something or to, put in a larger pipe, then we're paying for that because that was our ask.
but not everything else. The
Right.
developer's on the hook for
Right.
everything in our standard.
There are plenty of developments where we don't have any type of betterment and no reimbursement is required.
I understand that part, but we're looking at an 80-foot roadway up there on Skyline Drive. All of the water has to be pumped up that hill. The sewer lines have got to be immense getting it all down there. I'm just saying, we're on the verge of being responsible for an immense amount of infrastructure.
But if a certain type of pipe is required to water up that hill for that developer to develop,
Then
we're not on the hook for that.
The developer is.
Well, we we reimburse them
No.
for the upside.
No. If,
No, if it's not, if that pipe is required, what's required to get that infrastructure to that development is on the developer.
not us.
If they're requiring some larger pipe or larger pump or something to get it up the hill, that's on them. We're not asking them to do that. That's what's required for them to develop.
How about the 80-foot wide Skyline Drive? Who's gonna pay for that?
Well, we're looking into different funding sources
Yeah.
for that.
That's a whole different animal. That's not the developer. But that's whether the city does it, whether that's funding grants. I mean, there's been a lot of years of We'd have had it built already if we'd have had the right funding, right?
Well, you gotta buy the land. I'm just poking a little bit. I'm concerned about future costs.
But you know what? That, I would suggest that there's some work sessions with the city council. I've come to a few of them where they talk budgets and a few of those things, and they'll talk the impact fees. I highly recommend anybody on this group can come sit in on those, and that's where, when they have their budget meetings at the end of every year, that's where we come to that. But this is just simply talking about if there's any upsizing, any changes. So I'm open to a motion on this unless there's a discussion. I'm open that if you have some wording you would like to have suggested that the staff look at on that. But I'm open to a motion and some any wording that changes on that. Dana, yes?
I'm so sorry. If I can make one like very minor revision in this. It came across it actually today and it was just an oversight. And it has to do with detention pond spillways. It's very minor. But for our public detention basins, we want a certain spillway, but the one thing we would like to add is that a private small detention pond can have a rock spillway.
Okay,
That's the only change. A little sticky.
on the private one.
On a private one, yes. Sir.
Okay, any concerns with that?
Not allowed to retain one private property.
Or no, it's required.
What's that?
It's required to detain and possibly retain on private.
So I can build a kitchen.
If you have your water rights. No, this is storm.
Stormwater.
Yeah. This,
So don't pause.
I don't know.
Okay, do we have a motion for tonight? For the first one, which is the adoption of public works.
Would you suggest any change in the wording then? I mean, you have a different concept of reimbursement than I do. Maybe it doesn't make any sense to change that. I don't know.
are you asking me? We can certainly add, just a little language that just says something about it'll be via a reimbursement agreement or such. But the city, just in my opinion, the city would never agree to pay a developer for an upsize without an agreement. And they couldn't because they couldn't just cut a check to somebody
They're just
without.
gonna get an invoice for it. if There's an agreement.
Right.
made First, right?
So the agreement is kind of understood, but I also understand your concern. So I'm happy to just
Any way to
add
state it that would clear it up?
just a,
Could we actually say the city will be responsible paying difference in the cost with the approved agreement or prior pre-approved agreement? Cause that's just saying, hey, there had to be an agreement
Yes.
and we're willing to pay the difference if there was an agreement.
certain, yeah,
Does that,
via an approved
as-
agreement.
and I'm not a wordsmith, that's why I'm asking.
Apparently. I mean. you
Brian's the
mentioned-
wordsmith,
you
we should be
mentioned
asking him.
Via the reimbursement agreement, I suppose that covers it.
Andrew, can we just ask you guys to take a look at that and drop some wording in there that basically defines that there was an agreement made? Any changes would be if there's an agreement made that the city would reimburse it or pay the difference in the agreement.
Can you give me a page or paragraph or?
Page
The-
4.
Yeah, section 2.02, item C, improvements,
Okay.
and then C2, just having something via, you mentioned via reimbursement agreement or as stated in or
Yep.
as agreed upon.
Yep.
And if we're doing that, then we can add her rock pension
Yes.
as well, while we're in there.
And where's that?
The spillway.
That would be
It's like a
in.
blue sticky note.
It's only sticky note. It's in section A5. Point G. Point 5. C. And it would just be small private detention ponds may have a riprap overflow.
Okay, with those changes, David, would you like to make a motion?
There's your tree, hang yourself in it. Uh, and I would rather see developer foot the bill for those, but apparently nobody else in Utah is that development averse. I'd rather not make the motion.
Okay, someone like to make a motion? Or if they'd like to see any more changes or just.
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
So I'd like the motion that we adopt the amendment of the ordinance, and is that the I, or is it both of them?
that we recommend the approval of the
sorry.
adoption.
We recommend to the city council to approve the amendments to the ordinances stated with the changes that we've already discussed.
Brian's made a motion to
To the public works.
the
standards
public,
update.
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Made a motion to recommend
yes.
the city council the adoption of the updated public
Legislative
works
item
standards
A.
for 2026. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Dean second. Any discussion on the topic? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. I'd like to go ahead and move to the amendment of ordinances, consideration for recommendation, city council approve amendments to the following ordinances, chapter 17.18 subdivision development standards, chapter 17.20 required improvements and guarantees. We've had the discussion in the staff report. I'd like to open it up for a public hearing at this time. Anybody like to make a motion?
My motion that we open public hearing.
John's motion to open. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Dean. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're now in a public hearing. Is there anybody from the audience who would like to address the consideration for the changes to subdivision and required improvements?
Don't everybody rush up at once.
Hearing nothing from the audience, do we take a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll motion to close the public hearing.
Dean's made a motion to close. We have a second.
Second.
Manya second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now close public hearing. Do we have any open comments for this section? Or do we have a motion for the ordinance on the table?
Tyson, do you have any concerns in this one? All well done? How about you?
Do you need to change it? No, do you need to change anything else? I guess is what he's saying.
Yeah. I don't think we have complaints on this one.
I read it till I was teary-eyed. It didn't jump out at me as concerned.
You
but
got a good nap?
I can't make the motion, so I'm waiting for someone else to make a motion.
I move that we recommend approval to the city council for item B amendments and ordinances, including chapter 17.18 and chapter 17.20.
We have a motion to approve, recommend approval to the city council. Do we have a second?
I gleefully second
We
that
have
motion.
Second by Dean. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Did you, okay, unanimous for the record. We'd like to move to section 4C, and thank you for those that have stuck out with us through some of this longer section. Section C is a rezone, consideration of a rezone and recommendation to city council for 18.01 acres of land located approximately 2775 north, adjacent to Interstate 15 from MP1 to MCM Manufacturing Commercial Mix. We'd like to turn the time over to Andrea to present.
Tammy's just trying to pull up, so that you can see it on a map where we're talking about here. This is in conjunction with the Far West Landing development that, crosses the Pleasant View and Far West where they're, where they're gonna build a Target over there and some retail development, some housing up on the Far West side. There is one small parcel of land on the very north end. We affectionately call it the shark fin. Because it's just triangle there at the top. It's 8.01 acres. So the larger development is about 37-ish acres. So we have 8.01 geographically in Pleasant View City. It's currently zoned to the MP1. They're looking to change it to the MCM zone. And what they've come in discussions as proposing to put on that is some retail, possibly a hotel. And then the very north end of the triangle will be their detention pond that will run their secondary water system. I don't know, yeah, that one, right where she's pointing right now. So that would be the parcel, everything north of that road that's gonna come out by the winery. So that's what their request is. I don't believe anyone is present. Oh, we
He's
do have
here.
someone present? Oh, sorry, Luke. Luke, no? Oh, engineer, okay.
Could we get you just to come up, state your name and address for the record for tonight, and then we'll open it up to any
Okay.
questions of the petitioner or the petitioner.
So, Brady Morris with Enzyme Engineering, been the engineer on the project, up to this point. So the developer, of course, is developing the portion of the property in, Far West, and of course, in your city, this Sharkman area is currently zoned as, manufacturing. Doesn't fit the use of what the property is intended, at least the developer's intending to use it for, so they're asking for a rezone to, make it more comparable to what is being developed south in Far West.
Any questions for the petitioner?
I understood there's gonna be a detention pond on it essentially as well.
Yes, the north third of the property is basically a stormwater detention pond for the development and the irrigation pond for irrigating the
So essentially, does it drain north?
the ditch. There's a ditch that's on the eastern side of this development
Mhm.
that drains to the north. And yes, it
Natural slope to the north?
yeah, discharges to that.
Okay. So you still think that there'd be some developable land on the southern portion of the triangle?
Yeah, I'm saying a third is encumbered by the detention pond. There's 2/3 of that 8 acres that's left over for development.
They mentioned a possible hotel. Any ideas?
There's still up in the air.
Yeah, I was gonna say, at this time, they can share all they want, but all we're looking for is the rezone, which would allow them to move it into that
I'm
area,
in
so.
favor of the rezone. I'm just curious, I'd heard a hotel.
That has been on one of the layouts, yes.
I like Embassy Suites, if you get a say. Just saying.
So that's when your wife tells you you have to go sleep. Doghouse is the Embassy Suites.
Keith used to ask for Dairy Queens from everybody that came, so I'm asking for an Embassy Suite.
Can I just interject real quick? When the new subdivision for that whole area was recorded, the county reassigned tax ID numbers, parcel ID numbers for all the parcels in there. So under the application, they put in the old tax ID number. In the event that someone wants to make a motion to rezone, I have the 3 correct parcel numbers here. One parcel is the detention basin piece. One parcel is the lower piece where the retail or future development will be. And then the third piece is there's a small triangle sliver that comes down the very west side of that property. It actually goes into Far West, which is why it is a different parcel number. But with our interlocal agreement with Far West, we are the land use authority for that small sliver of property. And so we are going to, if you rezone it, then they've requested that all be rezoned together.
That's where the cows get, and then the cops called that they're getting it on
I
the
got
freeway.
you.
with the models.
I got it all right here. I'll get.
So the only question I have is from administrative, where those were not public noticed, are we still okay tonight to move forward with that?
How was it noticed?
It was noticed as the other,
The other parcel number?
yes.
Which is what shows currently on the county, because.
So we'd still be okay
Yes,
then?
nothing on that reflects the
Okay,
new
I
parcel number.
just wanna make
They
sure
actually
we're-
have To go in county to get these.
Okay,
We want to pass it like this because the.
Correct.
Goes with.
it'll
that.
be easier to clear it through,
Yes.
but I just want to make sure we were good from the
That's why we wanted.
administrative side of it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay, we need to open this for a public. We have a motion to open public hearing.
Motion to open for public hearing.
Dean's made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Manya. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody else from the public that would like to address us on this issue tonight?
Rush the stage.
Anybody from the public? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and take motion to close the public hearing.
I move we close.
Jeff,
Public hearing.
John's made a motion to close. We have a second.
I'll second.
Dean second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's now closed as a public hearing. We have discussion for this. Myself, I see it as an opportunity for us to get a little bit of development. It moves forward. There's been a lot of discussion over a lot of years of a mixed agreement with them. A lot of that has kind of gone by the wayside, and this allows us to at least capitalize on the development as it goes at this point. Makes the most sense to me to change it from the manufacturing to the to what will be adjacent to us at that time. That's just my thoughts. Any other thoughts? Agreed.
And it fits future. Fits in with the future needs.
I think so. I think so. Hearing that, do we have a motion?
Yep. I want a motion to approve as presented by staff, item 4C for the rezone of the 8.01 acres at approximately 2775 North, affectionately known as the shark fin piece. Because the only thing I like more than vacation is sharks. So we're gonna motion to approve that
Do you need to
with
mention
the
the numbers?
tax ID declarations that were made by staff. And I think that's it.
We have a motion by Dean to recommend approval to the city council, the 8.01 acres. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second by Brian. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Welcome to Pleasant View.
Thank you for
Keep us
enduring to the
updated.
end.
Embassy Suite.
That was him. That was not me.
I was just, we'd like to go ahead and move forward. Appreciate, everybody that knew coming with us for a long time. Appreciate Tyson and Dana for showing up tonight. Good time for us each time you come because, we feel that you've done a lot of work for us on this and it's an effort. So we appreciate your attendance on that tonight. Before we adjourn, anything from the staff for the commission?
No.
Anything from the commission? Just remind us on the date for next month. I know we have June 9th. And so just everybody will keep that on their agenda, June 9th. We have the Founder's Day at the end of the month. We have a lot of exciting stuff starting June 1st.
Not June 9th. but
Yeah, is it the 4th?
June 4th, okay.
Or
All right, man.
Come on.
You gotta double check.
Word on the street is there's gonna be a water slide coming soon.
How do you do that without water?
I think it's the 22nd.
Are you doing the rain dance?
Three water slides? Yeah,
Wow.
there'll be 3 water slides
Wow.
on the
Do you-
last
do
day
you
of
need
school.
to- Do you need to go to Tyson and build a water tank to catch any rain between now and then that you can flush down the water?
To
I haven't watered
recycle it.
on my lawn this year.
No, we haven't either, so.
Okay, well, we've got extra.
We're saving our water. All right.
That'll
Appreciate
be on
everybody's
Founder's Day.
attendance tonight.